G'day. Apparently my channel on YouTube doesn't support me going live with a live stream for whatever reason. It says something about I don't meet the eligibility requirements. So there you go. So I was considering doing a live stream, but I'm not able to, apparently. So never mind. Doesn't matter. I'm not really into public speaking to that extent anyhow. But I wouldn't really know what to talk about for a long period of time. Like, there's some people on YouTube that can talk for an hour or more. I find it difficult to talk for 5 minutes, But I've just got some topics here that might be of interest to somebody out there who's listening. So this is just some common topics off the internet. So the first question here is, what's something not many people know about me? So I just put a little bit of thought into it, and probably, I guess, there's a lot of things that people don't know about me. Unless you know me personally, you wouldn't know anything about me. But I think people that have gotten to know me, of the people that have gotten to know me, one of the things that they probably would not have guessed about me is that I have a fairly introverted personality. Introverted. So you could probably tell by the fact that I work night shift in a hotel. That's a bit of a giveaway. I can tend to cut out of a social gathering early rather than stick around. Introverted people like me, they say it's like you have a social battery, like an electric battery that stores electricity. Well, introverted people have like a social battery that stores their ability to socialize with other people. But over a period of time, that battery goes flat and they just run out of the ability to socialize, or the will to, the desire to. They can socialize fine for a certain amount of time, but so they can have the appearance of being, an extroverted person, or in certain situations, they could get up in front of an audience and put on a performance, or be in a play or a theatre or something like that, or sing a song, do a tap dance, whatever. So it appears like an extroverted person, but get them in a social conversation, and they just run out of interest and want to withdraw away from that situation. I guess that's me, and a lot of people don't really understand or appreciate that fact. I just run out of interest in social situations quite quickly. I mean, I can work at a reception desk in a hotel and interact with the public, and as a professional, but generally in social situations, I just find normally the conversation level is at the level of what you call small talk anyhow, and I lose interest in it rapidly and don't want to get out of that situation. So that's probably the main thing that people don't know about me. So another question here, what am I most passionate about? Well, I'd say there's a couple of things really that stand out in my mind. I think my interest in music has been a passion pretty much lifelong. I started out as a young person learning to play drums. Even before that, I was kind of tapping on the table when I used to go to clubs and things with my friends. I'd be listening to the music and tapping out a rhythm on the table, and friends would say to me, "Why don't you learn to play drums," or something like that? And so after a while I thought, that's not a bad idea. So I did. I learned how to play drums, and did that for quite a while. And I later learned how to play flute, which is more of a classical instrument, one that you blow the notes rather than tap them out. And I've messed around with harmonicas. I also more recently learned how to play mandolin, which is a stringed instrument. It's the size and tuning of a violin, but it's plucked instead of being bowed. It's a fantastic string instrument if you want to learn. Bluegrass is one of the most popular styles of music played on the mandolin, but you can also play classic and folk and jazz, and it's used in contemporary music sometimes. And you can go from playing the mandolin to playing guitar. It'd be like a stepping stone from that instrument to a guitar. So it's a great instrument. I love playing that instrument. And a little bit of guitar. I picked up a guitar as well to kind of augment my mandolin playing. So I mess around with that. And the thing with mandolin is it's a high range tuning, so it's like high pitched. So it's not easy to sing to that. You've got to have a high voice, like a falsetto voice, like someone like Bill Monroe. So when he sings to the mandolin, he's got that high falsetto style voice. That would work. Or a high soprano voice like Sierra Hull. She's a mandolin player, and she sings, and she's got a high sort of probably soprano style voice. It works for someone like her. But someone in my range is a bit low for the mandolin, so really would need to play another instrument like a guitar. You can get things like mandocello, it's a bit of an obscure one. It's got the same tuning as a mandolin, it's just larger in scale and lower in tuning, so it's kind of similar to a guitar. So I could play that, easily enough. But they're expensive because they're not as popular as guitars. That means the price of them goes up. So for me, it's actually cheaper for me to buy a guitar, an acoustic guitar, than it is to buy a mandocello. So there's the catch-22. So I might as well learn guitar if I want an instrument that I can play and accompany myself, like vocally. Guitar is the obvious choice, and I've been doing a little bit of guitaring. So yeah, music is a big passion. The other thing is probably motorcycles. The moments in my life when I feel most like a robot, the only thing that gets me out of that feeling is getting out on my motorcycle. I have a sports motorcycle, a Suzuki sports motorcycle that I occasionally ride to and from work, commuting. It's when you're on that motorcycle, there's nothing else you're thinking about. It's a very zen kind of experience. You're just focusing on, controlling the speed and the braking and turning, avoiding the traffic obstacles and things like that. There's really nothing else going on in your mind. And because there's nothing around you physically, like in a car, it has this amazing sensation of freedom. It's almost like I would imagine if you're piloting a small aircraft, something like that. It's got a real sense of freedom to it, particularly when you get out on an open road or a highway or something, and you're traveling at about 80 to 100 kilometers an hour or so. That really gives you this amazing sense of freedom that you just can't experience any other way. So that is a tremendous relief from the kind of what often in life seems boring and monotonous and robotic. These lives that we lead with so many agendas and lists and things you have to do, responsibilities that you have, a schedule you have to keep. That is so boring, and I just feel really restricted by that. So I love to get out on my motorcycle. I did a bit of bushwalking as well when I was younger. I had friends that were into that. We did bushwalking in the national park here in Sydney. They have a national park. I come from country New South Wales, so a town called Wagga Wagga, which was not a big city. It's a big town, but it's not a big city, and it's still a sort of semi-rural area where they have farming pursuits and things like that. They have large stretches of what we call in Australia bushland, which just have trees and shrubs and things like that, and some small native animals and things. I live near a river in a place called North Wagga Wagga, which was quite close to the Murrumbidgee River. So yeah, like bushwalking or just getting out and getting into the natural scene is something it's, you know, that I enjoy. Passionate, yeah, I guess so. Fairly passionate about it. Cats, I love my cat. You know, I have a male ragdoll cat. He's kind of my closest companion. You know, being an introverted person, you don't have a lot of friends. So, but I find that I really enjoy interacting with my cat, just playing games with my cat. You know, that's something I'm quite passionate about. It's like a fur baby. You know, I think of my cat as a fur baby. Winchester's his name. What makes me laugh out loud? Very few things, really. You know, I do have a sense of humour. There's no doubt about that. The first kind of comic personality that made me laugh when I was a young person, and still does, and probably I think is the greatest comedian of all time, would have to be Charles Chaplin. You know, he was and is an absolute comic genius. His what they call slapstick style of humour, which is very much a physical humour, like, you know, basically being a type of a clown, you could say. You know, and the characters that he developed, the tramp, you know, with the bowler hat and the cane and stuff like that, and the little moustache. The stuff that he did, that physical theatre. I mean, there are other guys in his era. There's Buster Keaton. You know, I'm not such a fan of the Laurel and Hardy thing. You know, or the Three Stooges. They kind of were a bit slapstick, but nowhere near as talented as Charles Chaplin. I mean, his stuff is brilliant. That guy can make me laugh out loud easily. You know, American comedy, not so much. British comedy, yeah, I get a bit of a laugh out of that, but a lot of the American stuff, Seinfeld, shows like that, I don't know, I just don't get it, you know. Sorry to the Americans. What was my favourite thing to do as a kid? Well, it kind of relates to what I enjoy doing now as an adult. You know, I used to get out like most kids did on a push bike, you know, a bicycle. So if you had a bicycle when you were a kid, you know what I'm talking about. It was that sense of freedom, you know, getting out there, riding around, seeing the world, doing your own thing, you know, moving a bit faster than you normally would get to move around. That was something I loved to do as a kid. I was into some of the toy crazes of the time. Yo-yos were big in my era, the kind of 70s. You could get the ones that had like Coca-Cola, or you could get ones that had Fanta. It was kind of soft drink logos on the yo-yos. So they were actually cool in that sense. You know, you could collect them if you wanted to do that sort of thing. I remember at least 3 different ones that you could get. You know, as I said, Coca-Cola, Fanta, which is an orange flavoured soft drink, and there was a lemonade one as well. I forget what it's called, Sprite maybe it was before that brand came out, but I'm sure at some stage there might have been a lemonade branded yo-yo. But yeah, we used to mess around with yo-yos. I wasn't as talented as those guys that could, you know, walk the dog and create the hangman's noose or whatever they did with the cradle, rock the cradle and all that sort of stuff. I wasn't that good at it, but I messed around with those. Frisbees, you know, things you throw around, and that they were pretty cool. Slot cars, I think, you know, probably were my favourite thing, actually. You know, those electric slot cars. Mum gave me one of those things when I was a kid, and they were fantastic. Or we even had these cars that were even cooler than that. You could smash them together, and they would it would imitate them having an accident. The panels would fall off and stuff. and they had like a pull cord, this flywheel inside them. You'd put the plastic cord into the mechanism, and you would pull it out, and it would send this flywheel inside spinning, and then you put the car down and off it would go. And you had plastic panels on the outside that you would clip onto it, like the doors and the boot and stuff like that, and the bumpers and things, and they would fly at each other, collide, and the panels would fly off like your own car crash. So that was quite fun. I got a kick out of that sort of thing. Yeah, so a mixture of things. I mean, I did a bit of outdoors and indoor things, listened to records, read books, did a lot of that. Mum would always say, read a book if I was bored, but I didn't mind getting out with the other kids, or, going for a swim at the local swimming centre. Like, we had a big Olympic-sized swimming pool in Wagga Wagga, which was a huge social thing to go along to. Chlorinated in-ground swimming pools with diving boards and stuff. That was heaps of fun, because you get those packets of fizz whiz sherbet and stuff at the swimming centre as well. That was fun. Or, as I said, the Murrumbidgee River. We had that close to us, so we could actually go down to the river, and kids had put up these things like swings in the trees, a lot of willow trees and things on the banks of the Murrumbidgee, and I don't know, people had put up a big rope swing, like a big knotted rope, and you could actually swing out into the middle of the river, and man, that sort of stuff was fantastic. Or climb up into a tree and dive out of it. It's pretty crazy when you think about it, but relatively safe, So those kind of things were quite fun. Enjoyed a lot of that stuff. What was my favourite? I did that. What do you text the most? Well, see, texting is kind of a modern thing, I'm not really from that generation where it's all about texting, I text if I have to, but I don't do a lot of texting. It's really just on a need to do basis mostly, some sort of I don't know, text message from a work colleague, or maybe from the delivery guy, the menu log guy that's delivering my food or something, but or somebody I don't know very well and I want to contact them, I might send them a message by text, but generally speaking, I don't do a lot of texting, People get annoyed with me if I text them anyhow. What do you like to cook the most? Well, see, I don't mind cooking, actually, living by myself, I have to cook occasionally, or I can cook. It's not a bad idea to do that. Cuts down on some of the cost of getting takeaway food. So if I was going to cook, I keep it simple, although, I've been to 5-star restaurants here in Sydney, having worked in the 5-star hospitality industry, and I actually worked in the concierge department of a 5-star hotel here in Sydney. My job was to recommend restaurants, and the trick with that is using all the guides, restaurant guides. We've got one here, and it's called the Good Food Guide. If you know all the restaurants, in that, you can pick a good restaurant for a hotel guest. And a part of being a concierge is to not only be able to just recommend something that's going to have information out of a book, but to actually give them first-hand experience from your own personal experience of a restaurant or a travel adventure or whatever. So we were encouraged to go along and try these things out. So I've experienced 5-star dining, like fine dining and stuff like that. There's a fantastic restaurant here in Sydney called Key Restaurant, with a fantastic chef called Peter Gilmore, and he does this amazing thing called a snow egg, which is a dessert style thing. It's his signature dish, and I went along, had a special menu that chefs put together. It's kind of all their best dishes in a kind of procession. You know, you eat one after the other. It's called a degustation menu. That's some funny French word. So yeah, if you ever try 5-star fine dining, you know, get the degustation menu. It's like a sampling of everything that's the signature or best dishes of a particular chef. So, you know, I've been there, done that sort of thing. I know what fine dining is about. It's normally small portions and schmancy sauces and stuff, you know. It'll fill you up because, I mean, if you eat a lot of small dishes over a period of time, eventually you do get full. But what I'm saying is each individual dish can often be quite small. You know, it's not like you're getting a big hamburger and fries or something. It's just small portions, you know, swirly, fancy sauces on there. But if I was going to cook something at home, I wouldn't go to that much trouble, you know. I just cook like a lot of frozen stuff, basically reheating frozen stuff, you know, like frozen vegetables, you know, that I get out of a supermarket freezer, you know, greens and peas and spinach, cauliflower, whatever, you know, broccoli, green vegetables. I'd throw in some eggs, you know, like boil up some eggs for protein. So boil up the veggies and the eggs. Potato maybe. I don't normally boil a lot of potato these days, but would stick to the greens and the eggs for protein. And then I'd have something like fish or chicken. You know, once again you get fried stuff. Frozen stuff out of a supermarket freezer, which you can just microwave, heat it. You can virtually cook it using the microwave oven, you know, and then serve it. Or if you're not satisfied with that, you want to go a step further, you can microwave defrost it and then pan fry it or something with oil or whatever, you know. It's just going to a bit more trouble, you know. Gives you a different effect, a different texture, more crispy and crunchy, you know. So if you've done that, like if I got to say a piece of salmon from a supermarket in Coles and some vegetables, you know, I'd boil up my vegetables, defrost my salmon, pan fry it with oil, like an olive oil or something, then basically serve it and add oil, like olive oil, to the veggies. You'd add maybe lemon juice or vinegar or something to the fish or chicken, you know. Maybe not so much the chicken when it comes to lemon, but and then spices or salt, you know, like salt and pepper. Or you can get those little containers that have different kinds of herbs and spices. I quite like that stuff, you know. I don't like a lot of sauces and things, you know. Just keep it simple, like a tomato sauce maybe, you know, because that all adds calories if you get those sauces and things, or mayonnaise and things like that. It's all kind of just extra calories and fat that you're piling on. So if I was going to cook, that's how I would do it. Just simple stuff: fish, chicken, vegetables. Yeah, the occasional steak, you know. But you can't eat a lot of red meat; it gets stuck in your guts, you know. And it's bad news. Constipation and stuff like that. Yeah, stay away from that. So that's a little bit about me. Hope I didn't bore you too much with that. And whatever you're doing, do it well. Have a great day. God bless.